by the time we got.
I would want, it doesn't sell.
So there's the new guest Wi-Fi. So, Ellie, if you're not able to connect, that stuff is on the board. I was able to finally get that done.
There was something I was thinking about, we needed to do on that bulletin board,
Yes.
a contact list.
Okay.
That would be great.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I had suggested or asked, I don't think everybody was on board with it, and it's okay if people don't want to do it, but way back in the day, now I know times are different.
It's 6:30, can we call this
Yes.
meeting to order?
So
Call to order, that's what I think, what you were
No, just having like a town phone book, so way back, you know, and some people don't want to participate, don't want to give out the contact information, and that's okay, but if people did want to participate, like when we respond to houses,
Yeah.
I'd like to know how many people are in that house, or how many people live there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got one particular resident, I'm not gonna mention names, but she calls too much. And she calls about her adult son, and it's getting annoying. And I don't know how many people are in that house, and when we go to that house, we don't know how many people we're gonna run into, how many are supposed to be there, not
Right.
supposed to be there. And so if we had a, you know, and again, some people don't wanna participate in that, and that's okay.
The big thing would be the churches and.
We do have that.
Make sure we got.
Yeah,
contact
so we,
It took
yeah,
3 or 6 months, but
yeah, it took forever. I do have that. I do need to put something together for this. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So,
6:32, we'll call the meeting in order. Go ahead.
Official order.
She wouldn't do it.
the water sampling we were talking about, I don't know. Oh, I was looking to see if I got, the last thing I remember getting was saying that, I think that might have been December's, that you had to redo.
Mhm.
That's the last thing I've got from them as far as the actual sample.
Okay, see, I thought we got another email since then,
You might
Saying
be
that-
right.
and I could be wrong, because I'm not the email guy. I'm getting better,
As long as you're,
not
you
much.
know what's going on, you're in charge of it, that's what matters.
Are you able to connect to the network?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure, because I know you had access, and I wanted to make sure you were good. The other one that was originally set up, that one was disabled, so that way, and that one's real simple, passwords just couldn't through. So
Yeah, I didn't even see the thing up there.
I just put it up today.
I just took a guess. I'm like, let's see if it's green.
Yeah, and yeah, so whenever, because we haven't had it working for a while, and anybody that's rented, obviously they would love to have Wi-Fi, and unfortunately, it was totally missed. But now we should be good.
All right,
So we'll
well,
figure out how to forward this, I'll forward this one to you.
I will start on the meeting minutes from last month, January 13th, 2025. Meeting was called to order at 6:38. Myself, Michael, Jason, Jennifer, Chris, and Lieutenant Craighead, and Sharon Mitchell and Clementine Mitchell were present. Minutes for 2024 meeting, December 2024 meeting were read and approved by the board. Open issues were ordinance updates, lawyer contracting, Keyser grant, rental of the back lot, 2025 budget. New business discussed, the budget, 2025 budget was received and approved from the DLGF, but it was greatly reduced from the requested amounts. General fund was cut down more than half to only 21,000 approved. Motor vehicle and LRS were approved at 5,000 each, half of what we asked for. I talked about how I think the fund balances that the state shows for us is wrong, and so that's part of why they're cutting our budget down so much, but I'm working on trying to correct that to the annual financial report. And I talked about using a different fund that doesn't have an appropriation to try to balance out some of our expenses so we don't end up overspending our general fund, and then there'll be some other things that we'll try to get additional appropriations throughout the year as well. The 2024 fire protection payout was issued. Michael took the check and was supposed to get that to the fire chief. And the 2025 contract was signed by the board for another year with the same agreement as previous years. We discussed the McGowan insurance quote for 2025. There were lots of questions between Chris and I about renewing that. And Chris was still shopping around to see if he could find any better pricing or comparable services. We talked about paying only half of the year or a reduced amount at this time while we still shop around if possible, and we were supposed to check with the agent with that. I did provide internal control policies to the board to review and approve. You guys happen to bring those back with you? Or did
I
you
didn't
look
go
at them?
home. Sorry.
So, police department was issued half of their annual appropriation for 2025, but we notated that I need to take the salary out of the second half. That'll be done in June. And I did reobtain the debit card, so I found the state statute that allows for that. I had submitted paperwork to Henry County regarding the alley closures, since Beacon and even the county offices didn't show those alley closures that were done many, many years ago. So they were supposed to be working on that. Jason took financial review documents. My swing set is on order to be picked up in March. The one that I've done, not mine. We talked about possibly making some town signs with additional grant money, and we were gonna kind of review designs and pricing for that. And police stats were reported, updated roster was provided to the board, and that's pretty much it. Board adjourned the meeting at 8:04 p.m. I'm not sure that I actually have any new business for you guys. I talked about the water testing. I checked with the gal about the updating the alleys, and she said she thought, with whoever she talked to and worked with, probably by the end of this week, that should be reflected online accurately, so we'll see. I spoke with Ben from the fire department. He did not get that check from Michael yet.
Yeah, my husband had said too, he wanted me to bring that up tonight.
And I said he was gonna come tonight, so we'll see if he still shows up. Oh, did I skip it?
I think that's who she meant. Ben.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. We updated the dumpster to every other week pickup. So I know
That's why I asked you.
Chris probably has more on the insurance stuff because he's really been working with her. So I'll let him address that. I did receive a notice. I think, oh, okay, so actually, this meeting has already been held, it was tonight. So this is regarding the local income tax having another meeting to clarify their intents about how that's supposed to be used.
Was that the 1%?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
No, that
that
was
was for dispatch.
that was for dispatch.
Yeah, that was a point.
This is the one that they,
Yeah, the one that you're talking about was like 0.1%.
yeah,
I mean, very little, like 10 cents in every dollar or less.
I don't really think they got to.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, I don't think it was that much. I don't know what that was called.
Because that first meeting was a joke.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
Did you get your W-2s that I sent?
And I gave
Thank
Chief
you.
his.
Doesn't really do much for me, but,
It's a write-off.
no, it's not.
I don't have anything else to talk to you guys about.
Everybody
I
thinks
think.
that.
I know.
You know how much I have to pay in taxes every year?
I pay each month block and then I have to go around and pay again. I'm like, what
I
am I doing?
really want to have them.
I'm doing fine.
I have a tax lien.
I mean, like I said, Chief will probably talk about the insurance thing. We don't know anything more about Morlock.
All the houses and stuff that I have.
The ordinances,
But there, I brought a copy, so maybe the Chief can make a copy
There's no taxes taken out of it.
of what I did.
Got this,
I didn't know if you could make a copy of that copy. That's the ordinances that I was working on.
Yeah, I have them.
the new one, revised,
That you sent, yeah, you know.
25-page one.
No. Yeah, 'cause we talked about.
Because Greg told me, he says, you gotta make it smaller.
Yeah, and we talked about that, but he was supposed to email me, because we had been emailing back and forth, but he had knee surgery or something, and he's never emailed me back.
Well, if we can get if I can get some copies, I'll hand deliver one to the office.
Yeah, because
So,
we
We can
talked
make
about
it
stripping.
two-sided.
We talked about stripping it and removing some things.
Oh, let me see that front page. Because that needs updated, because I wasn't sure on the dates on that.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, can I just take this?
You have a copy machine?
It's, I don't know if it'll do, we can try it, we can try it, yeah.
If not, I'll pay you a penny a copy. I'm not kidding, I ain't made it, I'm not gonna check it, it's some price.
You can always email it to me and I can print it out too.
Okay.
You can email it and I can print it. And,
I didn't bring my computer.
Did he email it? Oh.
Sir, you may know a little more about this, and one of the, because I guess we're on the new items, there's not much people. This new law, or this new bill that you're trying to pass on the reserve officers. Basically, the way I understand it is they're pushing our police department away.
They're attempting, however.
Because either you have to be paid officers.
No. What they wanna do is they wanna restrict reserve officers to only certain things. So the reserves would stay, but the reserves wouldn't be able to participate and do other things. That's what he's trying to do.
Because the way it was explained, because I was listening to it, I tried to read it.
No,
Yeah, so,
They need to learn to quit being,
so
Word chasing.
I'll tell you the history behind this. There was a gentleman who was a state senator, his name was Jack Sandlin, and Jack had attempted to make changes and pass this through the House for several years. Last year, he attempted to do this. He retired from IMPD years and years ago and became a state senator. And he lived on the south side of Indiana, or Indianapolis. he had his own security company on the side that he was operating. And he was targeting Southport Police Department because there was a member of that department who also had a security company on the side. And it was almost a who can do better type of thing. And what he was trying to do was something similar to this, and restricting the number of officers that Southport could have, because they had an enormous amount of officers. Jack Sandlin passed away last year before it ever made it.
Yeah.
So this guy is attempting to try to do something similar. This guy lives all the way down in French Lick.
And what is he, is his position?
He is,
He's the state representative.
he's a,
from the area.
yeah, he's a representative from District 74, I think.
Yeah.
He himself is a reserve police officer, so I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Because this would affect him as well.
Yeah.
What he's attempting to try to do is restrict it from reserve officers working off-duty employment downtown Indianapolis for Pacer and Colt. So now the rumor is this coming Wednesday or Thursday, there's going to be an amendment to what was originally proposed to remove the wording reserve, and they're going to change it that reserves could not work off-duty employment for a period of 1 year from the date of their hire date. Now, is that true? We don't know, certainly. There's been several amendments to the original proposal, so we don't know. But there are lots of things that have to go through. The first initial proposal passed last week, but there are other steps that it has to go through. And at the final step, which is all the way up close to July 1st, Governor Braun has to sign off on it. So in order to make it through there, it still has to go to the Senate. It still has to go to the House. I mean, there's still
The
lots
thing that bothers me about it was the people I was listening to talk about it. They've stuck so many other things that people want into that bill
right.
that it's almost a guarantee that it's going to pass, just so these other things that other people are wanting.
Right.
And
So
I don't know if this amendment's going to pull them out or not,
don't know.
because that was the guy that was
Yep.
mainly talking about it, that was his biggest complaint was, typical deal, you stuff everything you can get into
Yes.
it, but you push it as this, but you
Right.
can get your stuff
Well,
passed
and they
too.
were kind of sneaky the way they did this, because they put it in a bill with the veteran affair. And law enforcement shouldn't be in a bill with Veterans Affairs. I mean,
No.
that's two totally separate. So they had kind of snuck that in. Now, they have made some amendments to the initial proposal, and they've kind of watered it down, and they've changed some of the wording. And since changing the wording, it's been more appealing and more attractive to some of the legislators, and so that's why they were able to pass last week. However, there's so much kickback from it now, because you gotta remember, you're talking about the Simons.
Yes.
So they own the Pacers and so forth, and then you've got Lucas Oil, so you got Forrest Lucas, right? So, and then the NFL. There are a lot of, and then Jim Irsay for the Colts. So there's a lot of big players who are maybe getting involved with some of this potentially, that have some stake in this and some say-so. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen or where this is going to go. It won't affect reserves as far as being on a department. It affects them potentially from working off-duty in metropolitan areas.
Or the having the powers.
Or-
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah, and see, that was the
Did that
gentleman
to the
that,
first page, so I didn't do any more, so.
that was what the gentleman that was on this thing I was listening
So
to.
you couldn't make a copy?
No.
His biggest concern
That's
was
the first page I didn't do any.
what it would restrict a reserve officer from being able to do legally. You're a sworn officer, but now due to this, like a traffic violation or something like that, you know. Basically, he said they were going to, in his opinion, how he put it, anything more than just a basic traffic stop, you had to have a,
You have powers only in our town while on duty.
yeah.
That's it.
But then they were talking that it was going to be, that to be able to do anything, you had to have a paid officer.
Your tier 1 and tier 2 people, they had first talked about that. There's been 3 or 4 amendments that they've watered it down, taken parts out of it and everything, so.
Yeah, and that was just my concern, you know, was, it's bad enough that we have the issues we have with the county, that,
You're going to lose a lot of good officers.
Yeah.
This bill goes through.
yeah. And not just here,
Oh, yeah, statewide.
yeah, statewide, I mean, because I know a lot of,
So,
you know,
Yeah.
You tried copying it on the copier's a little black. And you have to do each page, so that's not gonna work.
okay. Well, if she can email it, maybe she can just email it to us.
Yeah, she can email it to me.
But,
Yeah, unfortunately, when you try to get printed over, that first initial page.
A month, but
If she can email it, then I can.
yeah, and really it's 4 weeks apart, even though it was in the same month.
Can you email this to us and I can fix it?
Okay, so it was just a billing cycle bill on that,
Yes,
yeah.
well, yeah, so,
because that's your first page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just email it to me and I'll.
Well, now I can,
Color.
Yeah.
so what is your email?
First name dot last name at townofgreensboro.in.
Oh, kind of like mine.
Yes.
so the 688 was, or 668 is what they initially charged
License
us.
to use that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Misty got that for you for Christmas.
That's cool.
So the
Oh,
total,
that would be great.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, a USB drive that's shaped like a bullet.
Because I was like to add
Oh,
it
you get
together
that?
Yeah.
version, and I forgot to update that.
yeah, and I was like, where is this, you know, and I see
Hold
it
that.
through here, but
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
just
wait a minute,
noticed that. Okay.
okay.
Yes, there's gonna be another amend and vote Wednesday.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday.
Because I know the initial one, like I was telling him, they had so much, they put so much stuff in there, he called it words to try to get other amendments passed through it.
Yeah, the last part of it, that talks about benefits for, correctional officers and people that kill for line of duty is a good thing.
Yeah.
They just, they
It's
snuck
just
it
the
in
first part
under
of
the
it needs
veterans
to-
thing, and that just that's kind of shady.
And, you know, that's, and they know, when nobody sits and reads the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
You
if
know,
you wanted
they
to
pick it up, they
create
read
a
the cover
cover
page,
that's fine doing
and they
it,
read the
but why would
last
you
page.
include veteran, military stuff in with that? Because that's, you know,
Trying to throw people off.
yeah, and the biggest argument about all of it is the state of Indiana, through the Law Enforcement Training Board, that the superintendent of the state police and many other members who comprise that board, the state controls all of the requirements, and it's on the books and has been on the books for how long, and the definitions of what is a police officer, what is that police officer required to do, the training involved. I mean, so the state has done this for years and years, and at no time has anybody involved them who already govern it anyway.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to make a change to this, and then what, if that change goes through, then it changes the way they, as the training board and the state, govern police officers and the requirements and so forth. So it's almost kind of that old phrase, if it's not broke, why are you trying to fix it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can tweak something over years, you're gonna find things that need to be fixed.
And things, yeah, absolutely.
But to this, it's almost to the extreme.
Well, one thing they wanted to try to do was say that reserves are just a 40-hour pre-basic reserve,
Right.
and they were just, that was it across the board. Mine, I started in '98. In 2000, I went through the Johnson County Sheriff's Academy, which was a full academy from January to May 23rd. And then I've been through 2 weeks of motorcycle schools. I've been through major crimes, IMPD's major crimes and homicide schools. I've been dignitary protection. I've been through all this training.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the argument is, people think that if I bring somebody onto the department, by law, you can give them a 40-hour, what's called a pre-basic, and you can give them a badge and a gun, and they can go out and enforce laws. Is that the right way to do it? Absolutely not. So even like with new hires, they are required to ride with a field training officer, but at minimum, they have to put in 144 hours in training,
Before that ever even.
but after the 40-hour pre-basic. So you're still at 184 hours before you're ever even considered to be released.
No, I've had people, why you got 2 cops? Because the other guy's in training.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Yeah, we're not going to
Just
right.
because he can police officer somewhere else
Right.
doesn't mean he can police officer for us.
That's right. And so, I've got it set, we're pretty strict on the way we do things when it comes to the training. I'm not going to just put you through a 40-hour class and here you go,
I'm just going to give you a badge and turn you loose.
And that-
So I can't, like,
No. Good try, but
Can
no.
you get my husband
can it be honorary?
That would be conflict of interest.
a job? Well, his name is Jack.
That is true. I do remember that. Yes, I do remember that. So, sorry, I didn't mean to get off track, but yes.
Well, no, I brought it up and I wanted to find out
Okay.
that, because I did get an email, I'm part of an email chain of all the,
Sure.
everybody that they're wanting us to send our concerns or complaints or any about that. And I was like, well, I need to get information from you guys
Yeah, absolutely.
to get a better judgment on how I
Yeah,
feel about
I mean,
this
at the end of the
because-
day, what he's trying to restrict is guys working off-duty employment.
Because they make big bucks.
Well,
Yeah, but police officers don't make big bucks.
no, I mean,
I know.
honestly, we talked about it today, and it's not what you think.
Yeah.
It's really not. And here's the, like the chief in Southport said, here's the thing, they've got 30 reserves who dedicate their time, they get paid nothing. So in return, he allows them to work off duty to supplement their income.
Right.
And that is a concession allowing them to get something back for giving their time.
Right.
I mean, that's really
You know,
what it,
me and Chief, we can tell you how many birthdays, anniversaries, special events.
things you miss.
Yeah.
Taking up the oath, that it's constitutional, it's sworn to take up. And it just, like I said, it gives back just a small token to guys who say, but there again, Chief and us, we will not just let guys work anything off duty. They
Oh,
can
yeah.
Run in here and just work.
I have restrictions,
Yeah,
right?
you
You
got
can't work a
restrictions on
ball.
that.
Yeah.
There are certain venues and certain things that you can or cannot do. And there's more restrictions than not. You're not allowed to just go and work wherever you want. We have a sheet. You have to fill out a sheet. It has to make it up the chain of command. It has to be reviewed. Where are you going to be working? What are you going to be doing? They have, insurance, liability, and all that. And I can't tell you how many times we reject.
Oh, yeah, we tell them no.
Because I'm like,
If it's-
nope,
if it's
sorry.
Anything that is kind of questioned, no, sorry.
Not taking it. Nope, not worth it. And some they're disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, take yourself.
At the end of the day, I'm not putting the town or the department.
Yeah, I will not do that.
Because, and I know exactly what you mean, because that's what you hear,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
reserve police officer, in a fight at a bar.
Yep, yeah. If one of my guys is working a bar, sorry, turn in your stuff.
Yes.
That is a huge no-no.
Well, and, I mean, I can tell you at least 2 times I can remember of last year were reserve officers up in the region, Gary, up in that area, where they were involved in shootings.
Mm.
And, reserve officer or not, that really didn't make a difference. I mean, they both got cleared of self-defense, but they were off-duty officers. That's what the headlines read. It had nothing to do with them saving their own life and other people's. It was is,
One of the other arguments, real quick, and we'll move on, but, you know, so we'll use this. Last year, the Greenwood Park Mall shooting. So the guy walked in and he started shooting people within the mall, and then fortunately, it was that citizen, that young guy, that shot him. Fortunately, he was there. But do you know the first officers to arrive on scene were Southport officers that were off duty?
that's no surprise.
And so what happens is, if you restrict their power, right, and they happen to be in the area or at the mall shopping, because
Right.
Southport's right there, and you strip them of that power, and there's a shooting that takes place, are you supposed to just throw your hands up and say, sorry, I can't do
Yeah.
anything? I mean, but as a regular citizen,
Right.
you can take the guy out,
Mhm.
but as a police officer, you
Yeah.
can't? I mean, it's kind of weird, right? So.
Double standard.
Yeah, so, that's a bad scenario, but it could happen anywhere.
Well,
you
and
know?
if it starts there, we all know about the snowball thing. So, like if there's an accident and my wife is driving by it, and there's no medical attention there, she's supposed to
She
stop.
has, yeah.
Well, are they going to push it so far that we're, you know,
I mean, you turn a blind eye.
yeah.
If she doesn't have it on her license plates.
Well, she does,
Oh,
just for that reason.
yeah.
But, you know, she said, you know, that's part of the oath that she takes, is that if she can help, she's going to help.
Yeah.
That's why they just encourage everybody to reach in.
Okay, your next thing. You brought this up, so you're next. New business.
I don't have any more.
No, you don't have one. Okay.
No, that was my only concern.
Oh, okay.
Is that Ben? No, it's Mike.
No?
No, it's not.
No, that's
It is
Ben.
Ben.
I don't have my glasses on, I can
Welcome.
tell that wasn't Michael.
I was just getting ready to talk about new business and the generator situation.
So, we hear Michael is back in town.
Oh.
So, hopefully, I'll send him a gentle reminder to get with you, I guess. Or good, and knock on his door.
A check.
Give him a check.
Yeah. That's what I just found out, right? Something about a check?
Yeah,
Is
he has
that-
already given the check.
Their annual
Oh,
amount that
yeah.
they get.
okay.
Michael took it at the last meeting, was supposed to get it to him.
Almost need to just get your PO box and just drop it in.
He tries to, I mean, I guarantee you.
You have a
drive
Dropbox?
3 times a week.
Like we have? You have one on the outside? So we're gonna get you a Dropbox on the outside of your building. Because we have one, and you could get a key, and anybody can drop anything in there, and you'd be the only one who could get it.
We have our PO box, and the last time I just picked up this house, it's not big deal. Oh, it is. So what about the generator?
So, are we gonna talk about, because Charles had said that you guys were
Jack.
talking about,
Jack.
AKA.
yes, Charles.
There's an inside joke. I'll tell you later.
It's about you guys who were gonna purchase a generator, and, we had talked, I told him that you had brought that up once before, and we were talking about getting one big enough for both, and, you know, this being with all the natural disasters that are happening, you know, this be a emergency shelter, you know, the community building and the fire station, because you guys have a shower over there, we don't have one here, we have bathrooms, we have stove, refrigerator, you know, but I didn't know if there was a grant.
Well, that's, the Henry County Community Foundation
Mm-hmm.
grant process will be opening next month, and when it opens, we couldn't apply in the fall because we'd already received one last spring, and you can only
But
have one a
we
year.
could, right?
So, well, either anybody can do it this
Okay.
spring, but
Okay,
we can only get one a year, so we couldn't apply in the fall again because we'd already received one in the spring, but this
okay.
spring, we had planned to apply for one.
Mhm.
We can basically, we're still technically listed as a Henry County Warming Center, and we can be because we can take, it's a pain, but we can hook a generator up from the truck to run the heat.
Right.
It's not a great system, but it works. It'd be a lot nicer if we had a generator that just kicked on as soon as the power goes off, and heaters work, the doors work,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff works, so.
Yeah.
I've only gotten one quote, 2 other guys have never gotten me another quote.
Are you looking at the Generex? Is that who you're looking through?
Mhm.
I haven't found anything better.
Yeah.
Are you at liberty to ballpark that or say what that
So-
first quote was?
The quote for us was $7,500 from one guy.
And that would be one big enough for both buildings?
That's big enough to do ours.
Just yours.
Oh,
Okay.
And I don't know, yeah, because we couldn't get in here that day, he couldn't look at anything, so I don't know how, I don't know much about that stuff, so I don't know if it would just take a bigger generator and run another line underground into here.
Yeah.
I don't know where the panel is here or anything
that corner.
else, so that'd be somewhat handy, because
Yeah.
we're coming in right here on this back corner of our building is where our utilities
Have a
are.
guy with the mower not run into it.
Mhm.
It should be bad. So that's kind of where we were at, was about $7,500, and I don't know how much extra it would be to run. I mean, it would be nice to have both buildings, just depending
Yes.
on, like you said, with everything happening, the power outages and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And the guy that priced ours, which is another thing, I mentioned this to Michael, I think, and I don't think I've ever brought it up outside of that, but the guy that priced it to us, is Jack Tompkins, he works for Duke. He works for Duke Energy, he's a lineman for Duke Energy. And when he walked into the station, he said, "Hey, your lights are terrible. It's dim." So he said they have a process you can go through Duke,
Mhm.
that they will come in and replace what you have to pay for it.
Mhm.
You pay for your fixtures, you pay somebody to replace them all, go all LED, and then submit that, and within 60 to 90 days, you get a check with 100% reimbursement.
Wow.
So it cuts your utility bills down, because LED doesn't take near as much to operate as these do,
Mhm.
like ours. So I don't know if you guys would be interested. We can't do it because the utilities is all in the town now.
Right.
We don't have anything, our name's not on any of it.
So is that,
So
Well, yeah.
that would be something, again, you get somebody like, any electrician that's capable to quote the job. Like I said, Jack just happens to work for Duke Energy, so
yeah.
he was gonna tell me about
So
it.
they reimburse the labor and supplies and
Mhm.
everything?
It's 100% reimbursement. It just takes 60 to 90 days to get your money back. That's the worst
Mhm.
part of it.
Okay.
Is it a,
We switched to all LED in our office.
is it,
I mean, of course, it's not
Yeah.
nowhere near, but just.
we did something like that a few years back, but it was through the federal government.
Mhm.
And, do they have restrictions on the electricians that you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
We just a license.
Because premium, I know we had Premium Mechanical do ours. And they come in and changed everything.
Yeah.
Jeff wrote them a check and then.
I'm
6
sure it
weeks
has to
later,
be a
we got
licensed
check.
electrician,
Yeah.
but outside of that, I don't know.
Mhm.
And Duke came through last year when Ellie set it up for all the
LED
streetlights.
streetlights.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so he may have been part of that.
Do you know, is he an electrician also, or is he
Mhm.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah, he owns a side business, he does electrical.
because that may be, maybe worth looking in to see, have him give us a quote, maybe we can get a quote from a couple
It
of.
saves you money over time, I don't know how much, but it's supposed to save you money with the LEDs and nothing else, it's brighter.
It depends on the dollar, but in the overall,
It
on
takes a while.
maintenance and stuff,
It takes a while.
Oh, yeah.
But you'll recoup it.
yeah,
I'm
it
sure
takes a
it will.
while. Because life expectancy of the lights are longer, like you said, pulls less energy.
Yeah.
But
We considered,
or Jeff watches that, or used to, when he owned the
Yeah.
place. He would watch that stuff close enough that he was like, well, hey, you know what, it did pay for itself after 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if the board is agreeable to that, then would you be willing to just arrange it for both buildings? And then I can take care of obviously we'd have to pay some up front. Would you need the town to pay for the fire department as well?
No, but I think what I would wanna do before we ever agree to anything is to get him to price it.
Right.
Because I don't have any idea how much that was gonna be to replace those fixtures and all that.
Right.
No.
But
Sure,
that's what I was
cash on
thinking,
hand.
maybe we could get 2 or 3 companies to come in and quote it.
Because Don Sloan here in town's done a lot of work for the fire department, he's one of them I wanted to get a quote on the generator from, hasn't got me a quote yet, but, I just need to stay on him. But that's, I think getting a price would be, but the fire department could pay for our portion up front, and
Mhm.
when the reimbursement came.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because there's, there in Greenfield, I get a lot of electricians that come in, a lot of commercial electricians. So, if it's okay with you, maybe I can get somebody to come in, and I've got this girl, she works for Generac Generator, if I can remember what her name is, but she's their Indiana rep,
There's a couple of salesmen here. Wendell,
and I cannot remember.
who's on Shirley Fire Department, he is a Generac dealer.
Who was it?
Wendell. Cannot remember his last
Is
name.
in his probably 50s. Okay, his daughter, it may be his daughter, the one that comes with that, because that's what she does. She comes into work every once in a while.
Mhm.
And she got the little Generac truck.
Yeah, he's a dealer for Generac.
So would it be more economical to have one large or
That's
two
what I
small?
don't know. I don't know if there's one big enough with,
Yeah,
really, we don't pull a lot. I mean, we just don't,
There's 2 panels in there. There's
Yeah.
400 amp service running to this building.
yeah. Which,
Is a
That's it.
little overkill.
is there a separate meter though for the fire department?
I don't know.
Yes.
There is
Yeah.
a separate meter?
Yeah, there's 2 meters on this building and 1 on the fire.
Okay.
yeah, because your electric bill is separate from the,
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Say, because like at my house, I put in a 400 amp, but I'm gonna run the barn off of it, it'll just come to 1 meter. But,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know enough about it to tell you if it'd be cheaper to do 1 big one or 2 small
Yeah.
ones, or how that works. And it would operate off of propane, so,
Mm-hmm.
which we already have the tank. in.
Yeah,
We have to
Propane
replace those
product.
batteries in there, too.
and and I know they make one big enough to do this, because I've seen them big enough to do.
I do have,
You guys don't
a
currently
separate
using
odd
gas,
question.
is that gas, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Or heat.
Your heat does use that gas. I don't know why I never thought about
We
it.
have radiant heaters in the bay, 3 big radiant heaters, that's all we use it for though.
I don't know if you can answer, well, you can answer this. I don't know if you can do it. I was just thinking, as the fire department, are you guys able to certify and refill our fire extinguishers and we don't have to use Corson?
No, you have to go through Corson or something like that.
I just happened to look over and I thought, that may need to be done, because I don't know when the last time those have been touched.
And a lot of times you'll have a contract with someone like Corson, they like to do contracts.
Gotcha, okay. I just happened to know,
Where they,
look over there and
they
notice
keep
it.
everything on their books, they keep the
Yeah.
record up to date.
I see. Yeah, I
When they're a month or so
don't know
out, they call you and
last time
schedule
they were
it.
here.
Yeah, they'll shoot me an email and say, hey, you're due to have this
Yeah.
done, and
Oh, good, okay,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, as far as the emergency shelter, like, can you get a grant for like the cots and blankets?
I'm sure
I don't
what you
know.
can put in for it, whether or not you get it, I don't know. We have some old Army look, I mean, they are old, but we have a few,
Yeah,
got several actually.
That's better sometimes than laying on concrete,
I don't know how long they've been there, but we have several.
or if they'll hold you up anymore.
But yeah, I would think that would be a separate grant. I don't know that we get enough to do all of that in one grant.
okay.
Especially with community foundation, it's usually somewhere, although we've gotten more in the past, so it's hard to say. Depends on what it is and how worthy they deem it.
Now, in your opinion, should both of us put in a grant for, or put in a grant request?
He
For the-
can't, because he just got.
Well, I can this spring
You
now.
can this
Okay.
spring,
Yeah, I just couldn't in the fall.
and tie it in that, we are trying to,
It would be, yeah, it'd have to be a separate grant, but yeah.
but tie it in that we're trying to get
Work
this
together.
money to,
Yeah.
supply both buildings.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if it would hurt anything with the fire department if,
I don't know, because it'd have to be two separate agencies, have to be 2 separate grants. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you guys did one for yours and we did one for ours, then it wouldn't make any difference. But I don't know that they could say, yeah, we'll give
One.
them, we'll give them 7,500, we'll give you guys 3,500. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, and I can understand.
Like, what size generator were you looking at?
Wish we could get the free Generac.
he told me what model it was, and I don't.
It's a
remember.
certain wattage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But like I said, we don't pull a ton.
Yeah,
I mean, we have our lights and,
Usually,
don't have
usually you
stoves.
run your essentials that you need.
yeah,
Mhm.
we don't have stoves and all that stuff. We don't have AC, we don't have any of that.
And then there'll have to be a transfer switch to transfer over, so it disconnects from the meter, so it doesn't throw it back up the line.
Yeah.
So we have, I mean, really for us, it would be the lights and or heaters, depending on time of year.
Mhm.
In the office, we have 2 mini split units, kind of like hotel room units,
Yeah.
but that's all we have for heat, air, so, in the office.
Mhm.
So, if it were hot, inside the bay, it would be hot.
Yeah.
We have big fans.
And it does
and
get
stuff.
hot in there.
Yeah, we have big fans and stuff.
But I mean, even still, if it's a case where we're having to use it, if you gotta deal with a little bit of heat, you know,
Mhm.
there's probably worse problems than that.
Yeah, we just don't have a ton to run off of a generator, but it would be, our doors is a big thing. Last couple,
Yeah.
like we had the wreck up here where they hit the utility pole and it knocked our power out. So, we could get our fire truck out to go to the run because, well, you can't, you have to pull the chain and
Yeah.
lift the door manually and,
Which, and they're a little heavy.
Mhm.
yeah, those are big doors.
So just off of, if you had 100 amps of service on a 120, it's gonna be 12,000 kilowatt, is what you'll need for
Yeah.
that. I was 41 during the fire, so.
Okay. So how do you get these grants? Do you-
Well,
is
like
it-
the Henry County Community Foundation used to have to go to a meeting and all that, you don't do that
Yeah.
anymore. It's, everything is online. So you apply online and everything. That's all you look up to see when they're,
Basically write I don't know how long, but you know, you gotta just write something up.
and it's not much, it's their form. I mean, I can literally do one in 15 minutes.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not like a huge grant process like it used to be.
Yeah.
And once you
okay.
apply, that goes to their board,
Mhm.
and then their board sends someone out to meet with you. A member from their board, like Forrest Blank was who met me for our last grant. So he came down to the fire station, we talked for a half an hour or so. He went back, made a recommendation, then the board votes on who gets the money. Because they have so much money, they have so many people applying, and then
Right.
they kind of split it up. Like, we only asked for one set of gear, which is about $5,000. And when he came, he was like, I really think you really need 3. So he changed it to 3, but then they gave us the 1.
Mhm.
So his recommendation was for 3, but they didn't give us all of it.
Yeah.
Better to shoot high.
Yes. That's what I said. Do you have to give them prices and all that? Do you have to do all the research on prices?
You have to give 2 quotes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to use the cheapest one. Like our gear wasn't the cheapest quote. After you get the money, it doesn't really matter. But you do have to submit the receipts before the next grant process.
Okay.
So, let's see when their process opens. But it's not difficult at all. Okay, so their letter of intent just opened today.
Oh, wow.
So you have 2 weeks to submit a letter of intent. The letter of intent is nothing just other than saying, we intend to apply for this grant. It's really about all it is, and then they'll review, and it asks what you want on there, and then you submit that. And then, see, they used to do it where you had to deal with this full application process, and it was a
Yeah,
nightmare.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Then, that was just to get turned down.
Hmm.
So now they do this letter of intent, and if your letter of intent gets approved, it moves on in the process. So some of them they wipe out with just a letter of intent,
Yeah.
and don't even look at those anymore. So then the full application, if your letter of intent is accepted, the full application is gonna be due on March 20th.
they don't put a dollar limit on it, you tell them what you want, and you either get it or you don't.
Wow.
And sometimes they'll do, like I said, the guy will come out, somebody from the board will come out, and if you're asking for 10,000, he may say, well, I think we can do 5, and that'll be his recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the board will either accept it or not accept it, or change it.
Do you have to have matching funds?
Nope, there's no matching funds at all. Nope.
That'd be great.
So it could be something where if you don't get all the money from them, you
Right.
hang on to it until you can gather up more.
It just has to be spent a year. So, yeah, you have to have it spent a year and the receipts have to be submitted. So if you're awarded a grant in the spring, you can't apply again in the fall, but you could apply again the following spring. But you have to have all your paperwork turned in from the previous grant that you did.
One thing you might, and I don't know, you maybe know, there needs to be services done on these, so annually there needs to be run and load tested, things like that. Generac spray people, or do they have a contract where they do that for people? Or?
That I'm not sure of. I would assume whoever does the install.
Like a maintenance.
Yeah, there's a maintenance agreement, so that, because I know
Yeah.
they're at Lilly, they have to test their generators annually and stuff like that, because they can fail and go bad, or batteries go bad.
Yeah.
It's just something more to think about.
Yeah,
Having
another
money, so-
annual bill.
Yeah. I would think that our annual maintenance agreement would be too much, just for the machine test.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if the equipment goes bad, obviously there's a cost there.
I would think they would guarantee it for so many years.
Yeah, there should be some.
Yeah, I think the majority of those
5
have like a
years.
10-year warranty.
5 years,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's just something to ask when you talk to them.
Mhm.
But I can talk to Jack and see what he thinks about 1 or 2, or what he thinks the process should be.
Somebody needs in here to look around, hit up.
Yeah, let anybody know.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's, if he knows there's a 400 amp service there, it's a matter of getting it inside the building is the worst part.
Yeah.
Once you're inside the building, it just goes right next to your panel, so
And
there wouldn't have to be any run through here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the conduit's already plugged right into the brick.
Yeah,
You can almost feed right into that.
yeah, so it would be terrible.
Not to change it. Did you go to that meeting they had tonight about the fire department rezoning and stuff?
Tonight,
Mhm.
what meeting?
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
yeah, the meeting that you weren't privy to. That you should
Who?
have probably known.
Who had it?
The county.
So, what I understand, what I read is, it's to clarify the intent of the amendment.
The House bill you're talking about?
Or the,
With the-
yeah, change that they made last
Where they were
year.
talking about the mailbox deal. I think that's it. I don't know. for
Oh,
sure.
this is on lit money.
Yeah, remember on your mailbox deal, where they were gonna start cutting for Greensboro?
Well, I know. Well, this is just. Yeah. This wouldn't affect us. The only thing, what we were talking about before was the township board wanted to
Yeah.
expand Kennard's territory into ours a little bit, and we were against that, but
Well, I just wasn't sure if that was somehow mixed into that.
nope, that's pretty much dead, I think. When the last 4 calls they've had in Kennard, nobody from Kennard showed up to, and Greensboro had to cover it
That sounds familiar.
pretty well,
Oh, did I say that?
nail in their own coffin, you know, I mean, I don't, the other thing that is going on is the House bill situation, they're doing with all the township trustees, and I don't know how much you've seen on that, that would be an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
It would leave the EMA chief at Newcastle, Henry County, as the county fire chief. And some fire departments would go away, some would combine, that's kind of the goal, I think, eventually, is to combine. We have 16 volunteer fire departments in Henry County, that's a lot. But when you look at it, Louisville gets not quite as much money as Nicetown, Middletown, but Louisville gets a ton of money, and they have 2 firemen right now, and one of them lives in Muncie. So they make 0 runs. They get $100,000 plus a year. They take 0 runs, and the town of Strong's Fire Department covers all of their runs and gets nothing.
You know why?
So-
There's 40 runs right through there, they get all that.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to do something with some of these fire departments, but I don't know if anything would affect us too much, but.
I mean, because granted, yeah, Kennard's just right there, Shirley's just right there, Nison's right there.
Cash.
But you're 20, I mean, best case scenario, you're 35 minutes from the response time if you're waiting for any of them to get here. Where, and you know, you guys do an extremely good job from what I've heard of getting there. When you're beating their town's
Yeah.
fire department there.
Well, they're trying to force more reporting. We are probably one of 3 departments in Henry County that keep up on our run reports. That if the state looks up our run reports right now, everything is current and active. Most do not.
Yeah.
Our BLS non-transport certification, we've kept it up for I don't know how many years, and we don't get behind on it. We are the only county department in Henry County that has our BLS non-transport up to date. Out of 16, we're the only one. So, and that's not me, Steve has done it for years, and now I've taken it over, but I mean, so by doing that and reporting your runs, you're showing the state that, yeah, we are viable.
Right,
Yeah.
When you don't take your runs, you don't do reports, when they start to cut,
yeah.
there's no reason why Shirley and Greensboro couldn't cover Kenner, to be real honest with you.
No.
And I hate to say that for the town of Kenner because of the people of Kenner, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't.
So,
Please.
but that House bill, they want to do away with the township trust, and they say there's too much money coming through township trustees that is either not accounted for, or there's no oversight, basically. Township trustees don't have a whole lot of oversight.
Yeah.
So,
We oversight her.
it's just,
Or overlook or one.
but like Dakota, I mean, there's really
Yeah.
nobody that overlooks what Dakota
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's
I
doing
wish
anything
Dakota would
wrong.
come here.
Before Dakota, there were bad things happening, I think.
Right,
So, I think he does a great job. I have no complaints
I
at
do
all with
too,
anything he
yeah.
does.
Indianapolis.
But it happens in a lot of places.
So the only 3 townships that didn't go with Indianapolis was Decatur Township, Wayne Township, and Pike.
Yeah.
All the other ones did, and they merged with Indianapolis EMS and Fire.
Yeah.
And those are the only 3 that didn't, and it's kind of weird. I've had discussions, and I've actually been sitting, having breakfast, and I see 6 guys come in from Wayne Township who, their fire marshal can also be law enforcement, which is very strange. So you've got firemen coming in with badges and guns. And you're like, what? But they drive these really nice vehicles, $80,000, $90,000, and they're like, well, we need more money. And it's Wayne Township. And, I mean, they get calls, but they don't get the calls to support the money that's, yeah, and you're like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, they want to go more fire territory, less townships and towns. You know, we technically are a separate entity from the township and the town,
Yeah.
but we contract, obviously, with both.
Mm-hmm.
So we would probably be okay, but I don't know that for sure. And I don't, they've already said that the people I've talked to is Senator Rod says it's dead in the water already. It's a waste of time. They're trying to scare people at this point, but he said there's no way it happens this year for sure. So I don't know if it'll ever happen or not, but it's got a lot of people worried.
And my biggest concern is the way, you know, they're wanting to go in, and I'm not disagreeing, but cutting the dead weight. Cutting the excessive spending, nobody having an oversight.
That's the
over
problem
somebody.
is, you know, up in northern Indiana, they got their township trustee that doesn't have any kind of oversight bill. And I mean, they somehow came up missing $60,000 for a volunteer fire department. I'd just like to have $60,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I could get $60,000, I'd replace an engine, but I can't. And that's the 10% match. That's not replacing an engine. That's the $600,000 plus truck.
I wish they'd improve just so you could get new tires, because I hate to think how old those are.
Oh, they are. They're a lot of days. They
Oh,
still
I
look
never
good.
did.
We see his,
They still look good, but
his shirt,
they are
you know,
outdated.
I've literally had to sell to other states because of the same issues. That, I mean, they were 32 years old on some of their fire trucks.
Yeah.
And these guys are going down mountain roads.
Yeah, we don't want to be that old. Our tanker's a 2011, and it still has the original fire.
But yeah, I mean, these guys are still got fire trucks that are 32 years old. Of course, they don't have rust, or, you know, they don't get the salt and any of that.
Well, that's it. I mean, our 2000, well, that 97 rescue truck we had has 12,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
We bought it brand new in 1997, it has 12,000 miles on it.
Wow.
So,
You know, and
yeah,
they had to end up doing a fundraiser, and when they started calling, they could buy tires, drive up here and buy them from me, cheaper than they could get them down there from their own local tire places.
yeah.
And I don't understand why. I understand
A lot
the
of
big
places charge
cities.
government entities big money because they think they have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big cities, I understand that, yeah, they're big cities. There's a lot of people. But they can't forget about us out here that keeps a lot of people alive. You know, these farmers gotta feed people. We're the ones that have to go in and pay their rate because we didn't want to live in that town.
I don't know, did you have anything else, Ben? Okay. Before you get, I want to ask about the Easter egg hunt and stuff. Do you have any information?
But I'll give it to you. We'll pick a date, how about that? So Easter Sunday is April 20th, so we will do Saturday the 19th. Put that on the calendar. Yeah, Saturday, April 19th will be our Easter.
Saturday, April 19th. My daughter brought me some Easter baskets. So, I can just bring those.
Yep.
Whoever doesn't get a basket can have one of them. Okay.
Sure.
Good deal.
I think we've done that in the past.
Yeah, the one Samantha,
Yeah, we gave
she
out.
brought a bunch of.
Do you have time on the 19th?
What time did we do it last year? Look at the calendar from last year. April.
Was it early? I think it was early because the grass was wet.
Oh, Easter, so Easter last year was actually March 31st. We did ours on the 30th, March 30th last year, but it doesn't have a time on it. It just says all day.
So you just say, I'll say 11 for an
I would do it, I would think like after church.
Church, well, it's
Well, we're
Saturday.
doing it on Saturday.
Oh, Saturday.
Yeah,
Like 10 o'clock, 10:30.
11.
I mean, in this, are we gonna have refreshments, ice cream, hot dogs? You know?
And here's my thing, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna have that stuff, do it at 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
That way you don't have to,
Yeah,
you don't have to feed them lunch, but you
yeah.
can have your snacks
Yeah.
if you want.
We
Yeah.
actually talked to,
The
not
ice
to
cream.
change subject, but we actually talked
Town
about
Greensboro, you can-
Christmas next year. We're gonna change our
I
food
need-
thing.
I
We're
need
doing a
50
couple.
people
I'm
so
not
that,
doing all
to
that.
subscribe so that we can live stream.
Chili
And we can do it for
That's
free
too much.
because the state's making us
It's-
start
it's
that
too
this
much.
year.
So
I'm
we'll do
trying to
a
keep
bar,
it for
or you can
free.
Make your own.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Which is crazy, you gotta pay for it.
Be way
Yeah.
easier. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's kind of a good idea. You wanna do 2 o'clock?
Okay.
And we can
2
do it
o'clock.
for a couple of hours.
I would think.
The Easter Bunny will be here. We'll have, that gives us plenty of time to prepare that morning, right? Have whatever we're gonna be doing. So,
Yeah.
of course, we'll do the ice cream, right? We'd love to have you guys come over and hang out and any events, you know, Christmas, Halloween, stuff like that. We want the fire department to participate if they're able to.
I
My
think
husband
you
was
should have
able
a pull by hose, you know, where you have a,
If it's
tug of
warm,
war.
if it's warm, you know, this is Indiana, you never know what the 20th will be. But
There could be snow.
fortunately, her husband was able to get the engine and bring Santa in.
yeah.
So that was good.
The kids eat that up.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that more than.
Yeah, so
Were you
any of,
over
any of
there?
our
I couldn't
events,
do
we,
it, I could, but-
we want you guys to come and participate, eat, and all that that stuff. Because every event that we do, we give food. I mean, we're serving the community every time. So the fire department's just, they're a part of us too. So we want them to participate with us. And it's fun to see all the kids, and they go out and do the Easter egg hunt, and they get, candy, and we do the ice cream machine, and I mean, it's just a couple hour event for everybody, and it's fun, and everybody looks forward to it.
And it gives him an excuse to fire up his ice cream machine.
Oh, I love that.
There you go.
Yeah, so, but we would love to have you guys come for every event that we do. If you got guys that want to come and participate and hand out candy during Halloween, stuff like that, and we'd love it.
Yeah, we do Halloween, we were set up over there while you guys were doing your thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so.
Do they still, and I don't know where they even came from, but like when I was a kid, it seemed like every time that there was anything in Shirley, the fire department always had like pencils and the little weird little gift bag type stuff that had like your fire safety,
Yeah,
little booklets and all that. Was that something maybe from back when we were kids and it
When
was a
we
state
do-
deal, or?
anytime we do anything where there's kids like Halloween, we pass out the coloring books
I was gonna say, because I can remember like they'd have these little things that had,
and hats,
that had the bag,
little plastic fire helmets.
Mm-hmm.
that,
I remember those. You still wear them?
yeah, they had like the sticker pack, 911 sticker
You
packs.
can order all that stuff, we get
Yeah.
about every month, you guys probably get the same stuff.
Stickers, did those come from the fire?
Oh,
department?
So
yeah, that's it, yeah. Don't
They
get
did
it,
it Shirley,
yeah,
Mr. Yuck stickers.
Yeah, all the bad chemicals
Oh,
under
yeah.
the sink.
Mr.
I
Yuck
remember
is
those.
mean, Mr. Yuck is kind.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those since the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they even make them anymore?
I don't know.
I don't.
I don't know.
That's something we
They need to, because you're in Tide Pods, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what happened, we took the stickers off.
And if you, because I know Charles had said that you had donated a washer and dryer, but we need a gas stove. If you happen to know anybody
Okay.
that,
Yeah, if you ever want to use the community building for training for your guys or whatever, let somebody know, right?
Okay.
But this stove, we had to turn the gas off because the panel, even though the stove is off, the panel doesn't tell the valve to shut off.
Oh,
So the gas was running. So one of my guys came in and the whole place was full of gas.
wow.
Thankfully, he didn't light a cigarette
Right.
because it would have gone up. So we had to shut the valve off, and then we put a note on the stove: "Don't use the stove."
It's just like a regular 30-inch stove.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my auction guys, they're looking for something.
But we had used it for
Christmas,
no, it was before that
Thanksgiving,
Halloween.
Halloween.
We used it for Halloween, and then a couple days later,
Amazon.
Amazon.
oh, Mr. Yuck stickers. Look at
We
there.
I just bought a new washer and dryer at my house, so we just brought the old ones down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thankfully, we didn't have an incident here with.
Yeah.
the
And I'm electric, so when we got ours, it didn't do
Yeah,
any good.
I'm electric.
Yeah, we can't wash gear in it, but we have our towels and stuff we clean and dry
Yeah.
trucks off with and that kind of stuff. That's good enough for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you happen to hear anybody that's got one Jeep or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I've got my auction, like I said, I've got my auction buddies that's all looking, but they're either really, really nice that they're gonna sell them for, getting good money out of them. Or they just hadn't come across anything that they're gonna let go cheap.
Okay.
I might.
Okay.
Cheap's normally free with most of them if I go get it, just so they don't have to haul it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have.
Anything else from me?
No.
Thanks.
Hurry, you better go before it wild.
They might roll the
Thanks for
street up.
stopping by.
problem.
Thank
They
you,
might roll
Chief.
the street up
Oh,
between here and there.
yeah.
It's 20 till 8. Yeah.
Go pester Mr. Michael for your check.
What's that?
I said, you can go pester Mr. Michael for your
Yeah,
check.
I'll get a hold of him tomorrow.
Okay. FYI, the tornado siren's been not working, but I have a call in.
Again.
I know. And I said, hey, what do we need to do? It's like at least twice a year, from what I can see, once or twice a year, that we have to have you guys out to maintenance this thing. Fuse is blown. And she said it's because, probably because you're testing in zero, freezing weather, and below. And, you know, if you can keep them from doing that, but we can't keep them from doing that because it's the county.
Yeah, but
And I
it's
emailed
still-
Brian
It's a
True.
state thing.
You would
Well,
think
but
they'd
it
get
also
no
was,
work.
it was going off, or they test even in the fall that it blew a fuse.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way a fuse blows is if there is a grounding problem.
Mm-hmm.
The shore.
There's a shore.
Yeah.
Or there's moisture buildup or some kind of condensation.
Well, see, when they took the pictures and showed them to Michael and they said there was rust on the inside, I said, well, stainless steel doesn't
And
rust.
stainless is not supposed to rust.
No, but there is different grades of stainless steel too.
I know,
Yeah, but when you're building a fire, you know, building
There's something
tornado
wrong.
siren box. you
What
can't
that
use
something
electric.
is obviously,
Yeah.
we don't know, and I wouldn't think that we would be popping fuses that often. There's something not working correctly. I don't think it matters. I mean, it was perfect weather and it was popping a fuse years ago when Ray Ann had to call on it, and I thought that was kind of silly, so
It could have a nick in the wire and the wire being buried, it could have moisture in it. And we need to make the
Yeah,
wire.
it's hard
we can
telling.
do
I
just
just,
troubleshooting with it.
yeah, I agree with her that I think that maybe more needs to be looked into that as to why every 6 months or whatever it becomes an issue. Because I don't know of any other towns that are having that same issue. Their sirens go off just fine.
Mhm.
Well, I only know that Moreland and Kennard replaced theirs. Well, I don't know if Moreland ever got another one, but theirs quit working and they just weren't doing anything. But
Okay.
Kennard was in the same boat, but they did get another one. But I don't even know if they have the same exact kind of equipment we do or anything
Sure,
about it.
sure.
But
You know, I don't know personally.
I did remember I was going to tell you guys, Crusaders, if you haven't seen it already, is having a dime to donate next week, or no, tomorrow night. And if anybody's available to go, it's at Ink and Ale in Newcastle.
Where's that?
At the old Courier Times building.
They have axe throwing.
Yep, they do.
Really?
Mhm.
And they have a golf simulator.
Yeah, I don't play golf, so I'm more into throwing axes.
You're in the putt-putt.
Yeah, I'm good at
You're
it.
into throwing axes, but you gotta throw it at the board, not at people.
And I
That
think
takes the fun out of it.
the fire department is gonna have another pancake breakfast
Okay.
in June.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And just because you mentioned June 1st, or the first Monday in June, I will not be here at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I just
You'll
realized,
have to remind us when we do that.
I just thought of that. Yeah.
That would be June 2nd.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. Are you on vacation?
yes.
When?
We're going to go drive down the west coast, or the east coast, in metal detector. So I may not come back if I get find, Blackbeard's treasure or something.
No.
Jimmy Hoffa? I got to.
Yeah, that too. If I can find Jimmy, I'm going to be rich.
Sure you will. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're in the bottom of the Hudson River.
Somebody said he was buried in the end zone at the Bills Stadium.
Jackson.
So what are we gonna
I
do
have
with the
no
insurance?
Oh, yeah, so are you having any more new business?
Huh?
Did you have any more new business?
I don't think so.
Okay. Couple things. At the end of last meeting, everybody had already left, and Jason and Michael and I had just realized that the, what do you call these things?
Security lights.
Yeah. All of the batteries have expired in all of those, because they're more than 20 years old. And remember, when you stand on the table? So I did find, and so I don't know how the board wants to handle it, but I was able to find the batteries. I sent it to Michael. They're roughly $20 a piece. And there's 8 in this room.
found any
Yeah,
anywhere
I think it
else?
was just here. So there, Gordon Electric Supply was the cheapest that I was able to find.
How did you? It doesn't
I don't know
matter.
how we.
How did you get on that
Well,
subject?
we were talking about the smoke detector.
Yeah.
We started talking about the smoke detectors, and then, I don't know, one of you guys looked up there, and Michael stood on the table and pulled the thing off, and there's no power to that. Those, if we lose power in here, those things are not gonna light up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They're the originals from 2004. So.
and we also figured out that they must have had the contract when they built the building for all of these,
Yes,
and stuck them all in this room.
yes.
Because not one other room has them.
Yeah, it's very weird why you have 8
In
in
one
this
room.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's very
And
strange.
not have it in
Because,
any other
did
room.
we have any in our, I don't, we do have some there, yeah. But it was just very weird why there's 8
It doesn't have
in
bathroom,
this.
not
doesn't have it.
that.
That room
Nothing
doesn't
in the
have it.
bathroom.
So you need more than 8, because yours probably.
Oh,
Well,
well-
in there, the lighting, the lights are supposed to be battery backup. They're emergency lighting in there, the fluorescent lights.
Oh, well,
No, we changed those lights in there.
I know, but I'm thinking that there was another one of the water fountain. You see that little red dot in there?
No, that just mean it had power to it.
No, that means it's battery backup.
We took them down, there's no battery in them.
No, there were 2 valves in there?
No,
no,
They're supposed to be.
no, there was nothing.
lights in the bathrooms, the overhead lights in the bathrooms.
No, they weren't there was nothing. I just, so there's a red light on those right now?
Right. But that just means it's got power to it.
Correct, and that's the way those lights were, and the battery's dead.
There's no red light.
Yeah, on the bottom,
mhm.
there was.
Yeah, you can kind of see it on this one.
Yeah, see, down there on the bottom left?
Oh,
But
okay.
you push it to test it,
Yeah, nothing.
nothing happens.
Battery just shot.
Yeah.
It's
It's got enough to run that little bitty red light,
Mhm.
but not light up the emergency light.
Well, no, no, that red light means it's got power from the building.
Oh, is that what that one was?
It has power from the building. If there's no power,
Yeah,
then the battery kicks on and turns the lights on. But the battery isn't holding any juice anymore. They're more than 20 years old. So anyway, my question is, how does the board want to handle that as far as, do we want to order these batteries? Try to find replacements? Do we, and then I think, we never even checked the smoke detectors, but we probably should at least get a couple of
They
more
did.
batteries. Did we?
Yeah. When it was on the table, we pushed the button and it beat that.
Okay, well, I was thinking that we rent the building out, I wanna make sure that everything's up to snuff,
yeah.
right? So, if we needed to buy 9-volt batteries, no big deal, right? But I didn't know what you wanted to do with those, if anything.
If anything, I would say we buy 4.
At least half.
Those 2 and these 2.
Yeah, so at least one on each wall.
Yes, because I mean,
Yeah, I think it is kind of
it's
overkill.
way overkill unless we don't have a sporting event in here.
Right, that's very strange, I agree. Yeah, so one on each wall, 4. So that puts you at $80.
Yeah,
That's way better than 160.
yeah, and I just don't see the reason to have the other ones.
I agree. I mean, you just need to be able to see to move around in here if there's
Right.
power.
It's basically an egress out.
Yeah, and then the idea too, and the only reason why I brought that up is because Ben was mentioning about the generator. So in the event that we don't have a generator and there is no power, and if something happened and somebody was in here, then at least we could see.
Mhm.
That's the only reason why I was bringing it up. So I didn't know how the board wanted to do that, or if they wanted
Well,
to.
for safety reasons, we need to purchase those.
Where did you find that at,
It
Chris?
was, I sent it to Michael, hold on, I apologize. I just told you, that I wanna say, hold on. Jeez, that's bad. I sent this on January 14th. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
Or just forward it to me and if they,
Yes, here it is, GordonElectricSupply.com. And they are called Dual Light, and it has a number. That was the number that I took a picture that day when we took it off. So I found the exact same one with that number that's up there. Yeah, Dual Light lighting battery. It's the same part number and everything that was there. and they say they're $16.49 each. Yeah, so usually shipped next day, otherwise 5 to 7 days. So we could have it, you know, obviously.
Can you just forward that to her and then she can just order it?
Yeah.
Is that cheaper than Amazon?
Oh, by far.
Well, that's cheaper than this, because it's basically the same battery that trail cams will use.
Yeah, it's,
And that's cheaper than where I've looked at the trail cam batteries. I mean, they're $35, $40 for the small one.
hold on. I'm gonna send it to the group, so everybody has it.
So I'll check, see if that works in trail cams.
Okay, done.
I
That's,
gotta watch the kitty cat.
okay. What was that? So she had mentioned insurance. So, yeah, you know, I get it as an insurance broker. She's wanting to seal the deal, so to speak, because she gets her commission or whatever she gets for renewing. And unfortunately, in the past, whenever Ellie or I have tried to reach out for questions or answers, whatever, the feedback was kind of slow. We mentioned that before, and we weren't getting the responses in a timely manner. And more so on my side, I started this process with her emailing back in September, asking questions about insurance and what the proposal was going to look like for 25. And of course, we didn't get a response back until the very last week of December. And so it's been kind of tough. After the last meeting, she had reached out to Ellie and I both, like, hey, you know, what's going to happen? Are we renewing? And it was almost as if we were getting emails every day. And so I was able to push her off and say that, hey, the town board's going to review it. We're going to vote on it on February 3rd and so forth. I think one of the last messages she had sent to us, I think last week, was indicating that, let me bring it up to you. It says, the carrier has bound the coverage for us since there wasn't any in place, but I have not confirmed a payment plan yet. Please let me know as soon as possible if you're not planning to keep the coverage, and I'll reach out to see what we need to do to get it canceled. So I think what she's saying is the carrier says, hey, your coverage expired on January 15th, but we went ahead and bound it for you, anticipating that you guys are going to renew. She did confirm, in fact, that yes, they will allow us to do the 6-month plan at a 60%. We have to pay 60% of what is currently due, and then the remainder of that would be due the next 6 months. So I believe in June is when the next 40% of that would be due. So on the police department side of it, our total bill, the total bill was $24,047. It had gone up. So 60% of that was like $14,000 something that I would have to pay now. I will tell you, I have actually been in contact with a couple of insurance companies. One was not successful. The other one, this gentleman, he also insures Greenfield. And it's through a company called, don't quote me on this, but I think it's called EMC, or maybe it's UMC, I don't remember. But Greenfield, of course, much bigger than us, obviously, but they use this. Anyway, this gentleman's name is David George, and he is the area vice president for Gallagher Insurance. So the lady that we work with, she works for an insurance broker, thank you, yes. And then she reaches out to different insurance companies and finds, and that's how she found Astra that was willing to take us. He is the same thing, and they work with several different companies. So he was going to look at it this week, I believe. He was going to get back with us, knowing that we had a little bit of time to play with. But he said even if he couldn't get us any lower or better than what we currently have through Astra. The difference would be that we would go to his brokerage, which he's assuring me would have a better response than what we've been getting. But he thinks that we might actually be able to get a better rate as well. We don't know. So anyway, that's where we stand. That's the shopping that I did. David George is his name, area vice president through Gallagher. They're based out of Muncie. They have a couple of other places.
Could it give you any idea on when he might be able to have numbers worked up?
Hopefully in the next 2 weeks. So I should know something before the next meeting.
Should we say right now that in 3 weeks, maybe we meet again, if it's a case that we're being
Well, I will tell you,
rolled into this other company anyway, because they're gonna want payment for the time they had us covered.
yeah, so my understanding is if we stay with who we currently have and everything, and we go ahead and make our 6-month payment, if we decided in 2 months to pull back from that, I believe they would issue us a refund.
Because that was
It would be
Yeah.
prorated,
Right.
but they would have to issue.
But
they would
that,
have to cancel.
my concern would be the refund after penalties.
Maybe penalties.
Well, they can, withdrawal penalty and,
I don't think there's anything in that proposal that mentions anything like that. I don't
okay,
think.
well, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
I don't remember what all was in there.
I mean, my biggest concern is, yes, they've bound our coverage for us, even though we haven't signed or agreed. We have to make some kind of decision. I mean, it's totally up to the board.
I'm okay with doing that, but if we're still, as long as we're still going to leave the option open, because with the increase and all that, and we all know, part of her commission
Yeah, and I don't know
balanced into this.
I don't know how all that works. If there is a commission, all I know is that I say that only from the standpoint of she is more than willing to communicate with us now that there's something for her,
There's money due.
that now that there's money due.
That's where I'm saying that now she realizes, oh, they might be looking, so this will cut into my pocket.
Can we just renew for 6 months?
We can pay the 60%.
For 6 months, not for a whole year.
Correct. So we pay the 60% for the 6 months, and at the end of that 6 months, I would bet that we're gonna know something prior to the 6 months, whether we're going to continue moving forward or find something else. And then at that 6-month mark, we decide, well, we go ahead and continue to renew for the additional 6 months and pay the 40% that's due at that point. Yeah.
I say, I agree with that.
I do too.
I know our portion, again, I don't have it in front of me, but it was $24,047 what was due from us, and then 60% of that was, hold on, I'll do that.
Is there another town's insurance company, or is there another town that has, do they have insurance that we could ask who their insurance is through?
Yeah, so the police department would have to pay $14,428.20. That's our 60% of our $24,047. So at the end of the 6 months, we would have to pay just shy of $10,000 more for the remainder of the year. I think the total bill was $29,000 and some change. So the town itself was only $5,000 for the whole year. So 5,000 times 60%, so it's $3,000. So the town would pay $3,000 for the 6 months, and then make a decision. And then if at that 6-month mark we continue with them, then it would only be an additional $2,000. I'm going off of just loose numbers.
Yeah,
I don't have it in
Yeah,
front of me.
I understand that.
But I know it went up for both. Unfortunately, it went up, I think, $3,000 on the police again, this is why I started reaching out in September. All these other insurance companies that I've talked to, they said that they are required, if there is a projection that rates are gonna go up, they're supposed to notify you within 90 days. We never got notification. And so we got dropped the ball on, I think, December 30th or whatever it was, that says, oh, hey, here's our proposal, by the way. And this is why I started this process months and months ago, just so I was prepared to know, hey, is it going up? And if it is, give me something, tell me something.
So the board's decision is to go ahead and pay the split payment and continue shopping.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next thing, July 7th, if you guys remember, I had applied to the IRS for tax exempt.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's, let me tell you, the number of phone calls, and the IRS, as everybody knows, is not really easy to work with. Today in the mail,
Woohoo.
we finally got it. Wow, let me tell you, that's, the number of hours spent is, yeah, so anyway.
Trump's doing his job.
Huh?
He ordered all the IRS people back to the office.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So fortunately, we did get our tax exempt. So now, what that allows us to do is to be able to apply for grants. I'll use this as an example. We've tried to apply for Firehouse Subs. Firehouse Subs supports local fire and law enforcement. But they wanted to see paperwork on 501c3. And we're like, how are you 501c? I mean, it doesn't make sense. So everything that we were submitting to them, they're like, yeah, that doesn't work. And so I had to explain that to the IRS, and they're like, yeah, that's weird. And I'm like, I know, but this is why I need it. So there are entities out there that we can apply to now that we have this official paperwork. Now, whether or not we get it, I don't know.
There'll still be places where you can't though, because you're not a 501c3. I went through that with Walmart. Mary kept going, oh, Walmart is, and they won't do it. And they'll say, you know, government entities and stuff, but I tried 10 ways to Tuesday and could not get them to accept it.
So it says right here, we are 501c3.
Oh, okay.
Pleased to tell you, determine you exempt from federal income tax under Internal Revenue Code, section 501c3.
Okay.
Or that's the police.
That's what I thought, you got the tax exempt already and you were waiting on.
No, that I applied,
Yeah, he
and
applied.
I applied July 7th, and it was supposed to be in 120 days. And it didn't
Plus
happen.
365.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then, so this is like the fire department. They had it, but didn't file their 990 in form. And if you don't do it for 3 years in a row, for 3 consecutive years, your exempt status will automatically be revoked. So that's what had happened to them. So they're not tax exempt anymore. So I have to do the same thing and file this form every calendar year. It's 990.
Will you do that?
No, we're not a 501c3 that I know of. And I don't,
It's
I'm
just
not
a
aware that I have to file anything like
No,
that.
you don't, no. Yeah, as a
So-
government entity, you're not.
Can we apply for grants if we don't have?
Some grants.
Some, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's very weird, and it is confusing, and
It just depends on the organization that you're applying to.
yeah, because we have applied and gotten certain things without this. But there are some that say, hey, we need more paperwork. Very strange. Okay, real quick. So hours for January, 301 patrol hours, 84 admin hours, totaling 385 hours. There were 26 traffic stops, of which there were only 3 citations written. The math isn't right here. So there would have been 23 warnings and 3 traffic tickets. There was 1 felony arrest. There was 129 business checks, and we were dispatched on 4 runs. And there was an arrest just the other day for February's numbers.
Here.
Huh?
In Greenville?
Oh, yeah. Very you probably know about it, you got to see it, didn't you?
No,
Oh,
no, I was not there.
oh, but you heard about it.
Yeah, I heard all about it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Just not to toot my horn, just FYI, I spent a whole weekend down here cleaning this place top to bottom.
Why didn't you call me?
I was just in
It's
one of
been
those
too cold,
boats.
been too cold for her to be at the graveyard.
It has. I haven't even been out here to the sign to change the.
Yeah, we noticed.
The
Oh,
dates.
yeah, January 6th.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I heard about
We
that.
bad.
We back.
I said, my daughter's like, we
Yeah.
bad. What?
I just want everybody to notice that.
I noticed when I came in that it was like kind of brighter.
I took
Like it
down
wasn't dirty.
every scrap of paper, tape, rubber bands, paper clips, and any other miscellaneous item that was stuck on these walls and up in those things, except for the actual little hangers. Those are awesome. I assume you guys probably put those up there.
Yeah.
Those are actual hangers, so I left those.
Yeah, they clip over the metal.
But
Yeah.
I did my best to get everything else down, so if anything's left after a winter, we know it wasn't there already.
Yeah.
I cleaned the carpets,
Yes.
swept, mopped, wiped down, cleaned the bathrooms, washed windows, tried to scrape gunk off of windows that was stuck on there. But anyways, that's the only reason I pointed it out, so that if we have renters
Yeah.
and they stick stuff up, we can be like, no,
Mhm.
no, we know that wasn't there before.
Yes.
I know it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I have a request, if we could try to straighten up the utility room.
That one.
Is that this one?
Yeah, so we actually talked about that today. So we got rid of a lot of extra things that were in the office that have been there, and I was tired of looking at it, and I've been preaching for a long time,
Hence the papers. that
get
were-
rid of this stuff. And so we talked about it today, and you gave an ultimatum to somebody, I don't know who, but the extra partitions and all the stuff that's in there, I've been asking for a very long time. I'm tired of looking at it. Get rid of it, get rid of it. Somebody said that they were interested, or they were coming to get them, or something. Because the whole idea is, when we put those metal racks in there, the idea was to have it separated by event, right, holiday or whatever,
Right.
and something happened, and it got messy, and I hate the look of it. I wanted it to be more organized. Now, I do know there are a couple of display cabinets in there, cases, whatever, that were left over that I don't want anything to do with, so if anybody would like to have them, help yourself.
I don't know, I'll have to look into it.
That they were in here originally?
No, they were left that when our last Summerfest, and we had the prizes in there that were out here in the grass, they were left behind by somebody that's not here anymore. So they have officially been donated, and I don't want them. I don't want to look at them anymore, and they're taking up some space. But if somebody would like to have them, you're more than welcome to it. But I think that will free up some space in there and allow us to go in and reorganize.
Yeah.
And that was the whole idea for Jaren, was supposed to go in and kind of organize an Easter here and
Poor
Halloween here. He's our event guy,
I know.
and that's his responsibility.
Yeah.
So, having it organized, knowing that we can go here for Christmas or go here for Easter, and it's organized and such, but it needs attention, yes, absolutely.
I can be a little OCD, so.
Yeah, me too. I really had to fight myself not to get in there and start organizing
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I just
If I
knew
get
if
the
I
door
did,
closed, I feel like I done it.
Oh, yeah. I don't like, because when I go in for, and I'll use this as an example, like when I had to change the timer for the exterior lights of when they come on and go off, right, because of the time change and so forth, it was very difficult to get back to that back corner to get to the timer, because there were chairs in the way and tables in the way and stuff.
We did that on purpose
I know you
to
did.
keep people
Isn't
from
there
messing
some
with that
kind
stuff.
of, like, safety thing about having so much stuff around your electrical panels and
Yeah.
stuff anyways?
Mhm.
I don't
Within
know.
so many feet.
Yeah.
We had that much
In
clearance.
retail, there was.
Check it out.
Which I think there's some stuff in there that can go in that back room. You know, we talked about like partitioning it off
Oh, okay.
to where, you know, we could, because I was talking about her having an office in there.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, we
Well,
could
maybe
put
a
some
closet.
stuff.
I was gonna say, put it in the closet.
Yeah, put it in the
Maybe a
closet.
closet.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any heat back there.
Oh,
Oh, there may be, but not much.
because I know in ordinances, it says that that there's a clerk, you could go to the clerk's office.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we don't have one, so.
Well, and we had actually talked about putting 2 walls in here. One time, I don't know if it was you or Michael, but we talked about building a wall here and a wall over there, and then she would have a window, and then she would have an official office, she would have her own entrance door, she would have a desk, computer, and all that, and there would be a small section right there that would be clerk. We could build, because 2 walls are already done. And then she would have, you know, her own door, she would have her own
Just
stuff,
over there, yeah.
or over here, whatever, yeah.
But then
I
you don't
don't
have your own
want, I
door.
said before, I don't want it, I'm not interested in it, as long as I'm doing it, although you're right, the state technically says you're supposed to
Yeah.
provide the area.
Mhm.
Well, we did provide it, you just didn't refuse to use it.
There you go.
Just because it's a closet.
You're not, I mean, there's no reason I can't come sit right here and do it, I just,
Yeah, well, we could partition off one of the sides out there,
Right.
you know, that little
Oh,
bitty
is
corner.
that
Cool.
That would be really cool. Yeah. No, I don't.
There's no heat out
I'll
there.
go buy you one of those little plug heaters, but you can only use it for so many hours
Just
a
keep
day.
her feet warm and that's it. Nothing else.
I sit and freeze away.
The only other last thing that I wanted to ask, because we were talking about it with Ben, these are still fluorescent. Would we be opposed to changing these out to LED? Like,
Now, if we can get that,
Yeah.
if we can get that deal.
no, I'm saying I can change these out to LED like we did in my office or in the office in there.
So you being the electrician
Yeah.
and,
Because you don't have to be an electrician to switch out
Mhm.
lights, right? You do it at home.
But I wonder if for the Duke program you have to.
Oh, I'm saying, no.
we're talking about getting reimbursed.
Oh, I can get lights for next to nothing. So the lights that are in my office, I would do the same thing. We would take every one of these, so there's 28 lights, we counted 28 lights, and I would replace every one, so another 28 lights, but they would be like the ones in the office, LED, and they're brighter than that. Yeah, it wouldn't be any cost.
If it's that much brighter, then we need 28.
I mean, you wouldn't have to, but it wouldn't be any cost to the town is what I'm getting.
But no, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, because I took those lights down, and the office is certainly way brighter, but it would be no cost. to
Other
the
than,
town.
other than the dead random wire, I guess.
No. So we would just.
I don't know how they wired it.
Just
I've
a
never
light
looked up
bulb,
there.
right?
Well, we would pull the whole fixture out,
Mm-hmm.
and there would be a new ceiling panel that would replace it, and in that ceiling panel would be a hole.
The can light.
Oh, you put the like the.
Can light.
It's not a can light.
It's the type.
They're real thin, and they should.
LED.
They have a spring. They have a spring that connects it to.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, it would replace the entire fixture, and you would have a new ceiling tile. If you look in my office, you'll see. But it
Yeah,
has.
the door's closed.
Anyway,
Similar to that.
the idea is Duke, right? Doing it for free. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we would. Steve and I would come in. We would do it, on a Saturday or something. Not. I mean, it might take a couple of days, but we would do the same thing and replace these with LEDs, just like the office, and it wouldn't be any cost to the town. Because I can get the LEDs for cheap.
Can you
I don't have a-
install ceiling fans?
We don't need a ceiling fan.
I'm talking about, I need someone to go up my attic.
Wow. You got Jack. Well, I know, that's why I call him Jack.
He can't,
You got kids.
daughters,
Oh, they have husbands.
yeah.
Good try.
Is there already a light there,
Downside
Jennifer?
is,
No. There's a box that we can,
are all the
Get to.
lights
You
on
already got
there?
electric run to it?
uh.
Or is there, like,
We don't have
We
nearly
would
as
have
many
to, like,
lights though.
intersection.
So the lights that were already there.
Run from one
we
box,
put
you know,
these
cut off
new
from one
LEDs
box
in the
to
same
another.
place as what
I
was
don't
there.
know about doing that, but I can.
Way
start
brighter than
doing
what was
it,
there.
man.
And I can
Wire
believe
it
that,
to
yeah.
the wires that are there.
And we have to put it in a box. And,
Are we good, are we
Yeah,
done,
Jason, we're not done
guys?
yet. You wanna call it?
I was just gonna look, I wasn't leaving.
Well, I know, but we're still talking. We haven't adjourned.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
At 8:15 PM.
8:15. Okay, now
I
we're
could have
good.
done that.
I didn't have the cloth.
That was horrible.
She made me start, she could have finished.
Trying to give me a scammer here. Why isn't Chris right up in any?
Yeah, see, so we don't have nine.
To me, it just,
Get it.
yeah.
So these are 5,000 K.
So this grant thing, how can we
Higher the number,
do that?
Yeah.
Well, sounds like we just need to get online and do it.
I would replace every one.